And I'm sorry for the pain that I've caused to my family.
The actions of some teenagers outdo the expectations set by even the most hardened adult offenders. As we explore stories on criminal justice, you will be amazed at the most dangerous teens getting insane sentences.
And I am not sorry for the things I did do.
We invite you to witness a journey into the lives of the youngest inmates as they struggle with the consequences of their perilous actions.
I am caused by my mindless action that occurred last summer.
Prepare to be captivated by 20 teens facing severe sentences due to dangerous actions. Number 20. High school bomb plot. Jared Kano. According to detectives, 17-year-old Jared Kano planned to bomb Freedom High School on the first day of class. In 2011, 17-year-old Jared Kano was arrested in Tampa, Florida, for a planned bomb attack on Freedom High School. Detectives discovered his detailed plans, revealing a sinister plot to carry out the attack on the first day of class. Kano's intentions were to cause mass harm and destruction within the school premises. Upon his arrest, Kano faced several charges, including possession of bomb-making materials, planning to detonate explosives, and threats against his high school. Authorities found a manifesto outlining his motives, expressing grievances against the school and its staff. The seriousness of the plot raised concerns about the safety of students and faculty. In 2013, Jared Kano pleaded no contest to charges of attempting to make a destructive device with intent to harm. He was subsequently sentenced to 15 years in prison, followed by probation. The sentence reflected the severity of his actions and aimed at ensuring the protection of the school community. The legal proceedings highlighted the importance of early detection and intervention in potential threats to prevent acts of violence in educational institutions. Jared Kano's case serves as a stark reminder of the significance of proactive law enforcement and community vigilance in preventing acts of violence within schools, emphasizing the need for thorough investigations and appropriate legal consequences for those who pose a threat to public safety. Number 19. The Robbery Plot. Jennifer Puit. Have you ever wondered how it feels to be convicted of murder at a very young age? Certainly these teens didn't bargain for the latter results of their actions. Jennifer Puit's story is a tragic tale of a teenager convicted for her role in a 1992 stabbing death during a robbery plot. At the age of 17, Puit, alongside accomplice Donnell Miracle, targeted her 75-year-old neighbor, Elmer Heichel. While Miracle carried out the stabbing, Pruitt's convictions stemmed from her active involvement in planning the robbery and her failure to intervene when the situation escalated into violence. In 1993, Puit was sentenced to life in prison for her role in Heichel's death. Fast forward to 2022, Oakland County Circuit Judge Martha Anderson resentenced Puit to 60 years, making her eligible for parole in the fall of the same year. This new sentence, however, didn't guarantee her immediate freedom. Puit now faced the challenge of convincing the parole board that she had genuinely reformed during her time in prison. Pruitt's case garnered attention not only due to her involvement in a heinous crime at a young age, but also because of the hardships she endured while incarcerated. She was among dozens of women prisoners who successfully sued the state of Michigan for enduring years of rape by prison guards in the 1990s. Puit, now about 41 years, is serving her sentence at the Women's Huron Valley Correctional Facility in Ypsilanti. Despite the intense scrutiny surrounding her case, she has used her time behind bars to pursue personal growth and rehabilitation. The warden at her prison and the original judge, Fred Mester, who issued the life sentence in 1992, have both recommended her release. Puit has engaged in educational pursuits, obtaining an associate's degree, and actively contributes to prison life by mediating disputes and mentoring fellow inmates. Number 18. Sexual assault. Fernando Salgado. Strange things really do play out in the minds of the young ones, and this screams more work for parents, especially in this generation. If you think you have seen peculiar cases, wait until you hear about this one. How does one derive pleasure from the pain of another? In the summer of 2012, An unsettling hazing scandal unfolded at A.B. Miller High School in Fontana, involving an 18-year-old student named Fernando Salgado. Salgado, facing accusations of attempted sexual penetration with a foreign object and assault with a deadly weapon, negotiated a plea agreement with the San Bernardino County District Attorney's Office. During a masonry class, Salgado allegedly attempted to force a piece of rebar into another student's anus, and another incident involved a broom handle. The severity of the charges led to his arrest, along with his 27-year-old teacher Emmanuel de la Rosa and 3 unnamed underage students. To avoid a potentially harsh sentence, Salgado opted for a plea deal, admitting guilt to 1 count of attempted sexual penetration and 1 count of assault with a deadly weapon. The agreement stipulated a stayed sentence if he testified truthfully against de la Rosa. The unsettling nature of the charges brought significant public attention to the case. Salgado's decision to accept the plea deal was reportedly influenced by alleged threats on his life. He claimed that law enforcement informed him of people attempting to harm him, providing a context for his choice to cooperate. The legal consequences for Salgado included the possibility of up to 4 years in prison, although the sentence would be stayed if he fulfilled his testimony obligations. The plea agreement outlined that, upon truthful testimony, Salgado would withdraw his plea on the attempted sexual penetration charge, leaving only the assault charge. While Salgado faced potential imprisonment, de la Rosa, his teacher, confronted more severe charges, including child abuse, attempted sexual penetration, false imprisonment, and failure to report suspected child abuse. The gravity of these allegations resulted in de la Rosa's continued detention. Throughout the legal proceedings, 3 underage students were also arrested in connection with the hazing incidents. However, details about their cases were not disclosed, leaving a level of ambiguity regarding their involvement and potential legal outcomes. In the aftermath of the plea deal, Salgado expressed gratitude for the support he received and acknowledged receiving letters from unknown individuals. Number 17. Teen who shoved friend off, Taylor Smith. Some actions could cause a lifetime mistake, like losing an eye, ear, or another delicate part of the body, even though they were not planned. In an intense August 2018 incident, 19-year-old Taylor Smith from Washington pleaded guilty to misdemeanor reckless endangerment. This followed her act of pushing her 16-year-old friend, Jordan Holgerson, off a 60-foot bridge. The incident, captured on a 10-second viral video, sent shockwaves through social media. The court proceedings took place in Clark County District Court in Vancouver, where a state prosecutor recommended no jail time for Smith. The misdemeanor charge she faced carried a maximum penalty of a year in jail and a $5,000 fine. The plea deal details offered to Smith were not disclosed in court. The incident occurred at Moulton Falls Regional Park Bridge northeast of Vancouver, where Holgerson initially intended to jump into a river about 60 feet below. However, she changed her mind, and Smith's push resulted in Holgerson suffering 6 broken ribs and punctured lungs. Despite the severity of the injuries, the prosecutor's recommendation for no jail time raised eyebrows. The sentencing on March 27 left both families in a state not desired. Holgerson, present in court with her mother, Janelle Holgerson, expressed disappointment at the judge's decision to delay the sentencing. She mentioned that her daughter has developed anxiety and is undergoing physical therapy for an injured shoulder. The case had sparked debates about the legal consequences for such actions, especially given the traumatic impact on the victim. The viral nature of the video added a layer of public scrutiny, drawing attention to the potential dangers of impulsive actions and the need for accountability. In her final judgment, Taylor Smith received a 2-day jail sentence and 38 days on a work crew for reckless endangerment. The judge, recognizing the severity of Jordan Holgerson's injuries, imposed a $300 fine and a 2-year no-contact order. Smith tearfully apologized during the sentencing. Number 16. Tony Farmer. Once a promising basketball player, Tony Farmer faced legal turmoil in 2012 when charged with kidnapping, robbery, and violence against his ex-girlfriend in Ohio. Do you feel sorry for him even after evidence? Well, his girlfriend does. Admitting guilt, Farmer received a 3-year prison sentence. His on-court fainting incident led to the bra meme, impacting his basketball career. Released in 2015, Farmer tried to enroll in college, but faced rejections due to his past. Despite legal troubles resurfacing in 2020 involving domestic assault, he managed to address these issues. Presently, he plays professional basketball for Halcones de Ciudad Obregón in the Cibacopa League in Mexico, showing resilience despite setbacks. Number 15. Jacob Muan and Drake Campbell. In a disturbing incident in South Carolina, 2 teenagers, Jacob Muan and Drake Campbell, became involved in a series of crimes that would change the trajectory of their lives and stun the community. Aged 17 and 18 respectively, the pair faced charges of attempted murder and murder following a harrowing home invasion. The narrative takes a tragic turn as it unveils a connection to Drake's older brother, Kenneth, who was already entangled in legal troubles for a manslaughter case dating back to 2015. The introduction of Kenneth into their lives seems to have played a pivotal role, setting a disturbing backdrop for the choices made by Jacob and Drake. Their story hints at the influence of negative role models, emphasizing the need for impressionable youths to have positive guidance. Drake and Jacob, seemingly caught in a cycle of destructive choices, embarked on a perilous journey that involved robbing a resident. The gravity of their actions was exacerbated by the association with individuals facing legal consequences. Number 14. Jessica Carline. The repercussions of the vehicular crash at the Wyoming Medical Center were significant in the tragic incident involving Jessica Carline. Amanda Strickland and Brandon Avery lost their lives in the collision, prompting legal actions against Carline. The court found Carline guilty of aggravated vehicular homicide, leading to a sentence of 12 to 16 years in prison. The severity of the incident was compounded by Carline's inhalant use and the vehicle's speed, reported at 76 miles per hour. The aftermath extended to a civil settlement, with the family of Amanda Strickland receiving $100,000, approved by a judge. This financial resolution was sought by Strickland's family, highlighting the broader impact of the tragedy on those left behind. The case underscores the devastating consequences of reckless driving, especially when compounded by substance use. The legal proceedings aimed to bring accountability, while the settlement attempted to provide some financial relief to the grieving family. Number 13. Matthew Borges. Back in 2016, Lawrence teenager Matthew Borges received the maximum sentence of life imprisonment, with the chance of parole after 30 years. This was a judgment for brutally murdering his 16-year-old classmate, Lee Manuel Viloria Paulino. Borges, convicted of first-degree murder at 18, received the sentence in Salem Superior Court, with the judge considering his age at the time of the crime. The victim's mother, Katiuska Paulino, delivered an emotional impact statement, mourning the loss of her son's dreams, talents, and presence in their family. The heinous act not only claimed Lee Paulino's life, but also sent shockwaves through the community, challenging their sense of decency and humanity. Essex District Attorney Jonathan Blodgett acknowledged the devastating impact on the victim's family and expressed the hope that they could find some peace despite the irreplaceable loss. The prosecution, led by Essex Assistant District Attorneys, highlighted the brutality of the murder during the 9-day trial. Matthew Borges was credited with 948 days in jail and was represented by attorneys Edward Hayden and Amy Smith. The case exemplifies the complex legal considerations surrounding juvenile sentencing, given Borges' age at the time of the crime and the subsequent constitutional ruling against life without parole for juveniles in Massachusetts. Number 12. Evan Miller. Evan James Miller earned infamy for committing a heinous crime at the tender age of 14. He was born on November 2, 1988. On July 15, 2003, Miller, along with a 16-year-old accomplice, attacked their intoxicated neighbor Cole Cannon with a baseball bat, stealing $350 and a baseball card collection. They then set Cannon's trailer on fire, leading to his death from injuries and smoke inhalation. Miller was tried as an adult, convicted of capital murder during the course of first-degree arson, and sentenced to life in prison without parole on October 20, 2006. The trial exposed Miller's troubled background, including a history of suicide attempts, foster care, and psychological issues. His defense argued that he was coerced into the crime due to external influences, while Miller's accomplice, Colby Smith, pleaded guilty to felony murder and received a life sentence with the possibility of parole. Miller faced the harsher punishment. The case gained national attention, eventually reaching the Supreme Court in the Miller v. Alabama case. The central question was whether sentencing a 14-year-old to life without parole was unconstitutional. In March 2012, the United States Supreme Court heard oral arguments on this matter, challenging the severity of punishment for juvenile offenders. The victim, Cole Cannon, a 52-year-old, was murdered in a crime that left a lasting impact on his family. Miller's life trajectory, marked by a troubled upbringing, underscored broader issues surrounding juvenile justice and the consequences of severe sentencing for young offenders. Number 11. Tyler Scraggs. Driving a PT Cruiser under the influence of meth, 18 years old Tyler Scraggs veered off the road, causing the vehicle to flip. This was on November 2016, and he faced a tragic moment when he caused a fatal crash on Taylor Road in Greenville County. The crash claimed the life of 16-year-old Haley Cantrell, a student at Travelers Rest High School who was ejected from the vehicle. Scraggs, charged with felony DUI resulting in death, entered a guilty plea, expressing remorse in court. Haley's family's lawyer revealed Scraggs's toxicology report indicated the presence of meth, THC, and amphetamine in his system during the crash. In the aftermath, Scraggs received a 10-year prison sentence, serving time for his role in the tragedy. The court heard emotional statements, including Haley's mother addressing Scraggs and Scraggs expressing regret, even stating a desire to trade places with the victim. The crash's impact extended beyond legal consequences, affecting not only Scraggs, but also Haley's friends and family who attended the court proceedings. Scraggs's incarceration began with 267 days served, marking the start of a significant period reflecting the consequences of that fateful night. Number 10. Aiden Fu. It's okay to make mistakes, but committing murder at the age of 14 really is alarming. At the age of 14, Aiden Fu shocked the community by brutally murdering 13-year-old Tristan Bailey. The incident occurred on May 9, 2021, when Bailey's body was discovered, bearing 114 stab and cutting wounds. Fu, initially charged with second-degree murder, had his charge upgraded to first degree due to the extreme nature of the crime. His girlfriend and friends revealed he often spoke about violent fantasies, including killing people. On the night of the murder, Fu convinced Bailey to leave her home, leading to a disturbing series of events captured on video. Fu, changing his story multiple times, eventually admitted to an argument with Bailey, claiming he pushed her, causing her to strike her head. The evidence against him included a knife matching the one found near Bailey's body, security footage, DNA evidence, and disturbing drawings in his home. During the search for Bailey, Fu posted a selfie on Snapchat in the backseat of a patrol car, raising suspicions. Additionally, his mother, Crystal Smith, faced charges for tampering with evidence after being caught on surveillance scrubbing Fuchi's bloody jeans. Fuchi's sentencing to life in prison occurred on March 24, 2023, with the judge describing Bailey's death as heinous, atrocious, and cruel. Despite Fuchi's guilty plea, the community continues to grapple with the tragic loss, and Bailey's family established the Tristan Bailey Memorial Foundation to honor her memory. Number 9. Terrence Andress. At the age of 34, Terrence Andress, a Texas death row inmate, took his own life on January 21, 2023. This tragic event occurred just over 6 months after the United States Supreme Court declined to review his case for the second time. In 2008, at 20 years old, Andress killed 2 people during a drug-fueled attempted carjacking. He was sentenced to death in 2012, with the jury unaware of his affective psychosis diagnosis, parental neglect, and traumatic experiences in juvenile detention. Andress appealed twice to the United States Supreme Court, successfully in June 2020, which revealed inadequate trial representation. However, The Texas Court of Criminal Appeals reaffirmed its decision on May 2021, stating that mitigating evidence was not compelling. A second appeal in June 2022 was denied with 3 dissents. Days after Andress's suicide, Texas death row prisoners filed a lawsuit against the state, challenging unconstitutional conditions, including prolonged solitary confinement. The lawsuit, initiated on January 26, 2023, claims such conditions violate the 8 Amendments' prohibition of cruel and unusual punishment and the United Nations Standard Minimum Rules for the Treatment of Prisoners. Number 8. Heavenly Aroyo. Heavenly Aroyo is a name you must be familiar with. At the age of 15 and hailing from Rochester, New York, she was charged with murder for allegedly stabbing Ana Vazquez, a 68-year-old woman, more than 14 times in her Fall River apartment. Aroyo had recently moved to Fall River and was living with her uncle, who, along with the family, was in the process of adopting her. The motive behind the crime remains unclear. Aroyo was arrested on October 6, and during a court appearance on October 7, she reportedly smiled and acknowledged her name being read. She was ordered held without bail and will be tried as an adult. Aroyo's attorney emphasized her age, stating that she might not fully grasp the severity of the situation. The alleged stabbing came to light when Vazquez's grandson called 911 to report a medical emergency. Vazquez, found on the floor of her blood-covered bedroom, suffered multiple stab wounds to her face and torso. She was taken to a local hospital but later died. Aroyo claimed to have seen an intruder fleeing the scene, but security camera footage allegedly links her to the crime, showing her disposing of a knife and bloody clothes. Aroyo was not enrolled in school, and her attorney expressed the need to investigate her mental health history. Number 7. Julio Cesar Rivera. Carjacking is a crime that Julio Cesar Rivera didn't anticipate facing consequences for, considering his prior success in armed car thefts. However, this time it resulted in a 45-year prison sentence for the 20-year-old Rivera. His crimes escalated to the point where he shot Alana Castaneda in the face during a failed carjacking near Alamo Quarry Market. Rivera, who was arrested at the age of 18, had previously made a plea deal earlier in the year. He pleaded guilty in 3 cases, including the one involving Castaneda. This agreement reduced his potential sentence, but also eliminated the option to appeal. District Court Judge Ron Rangel, despite the possibility of a minimum 5-year sentence, opted for the maximum 45 years, considering Rivera's over 20 months spent in Bexar County Jail. Castaneda, who underwent multiple surgeries, was present during the sentencing and advocated for the full sentence. Prosecutors revealed Rivera's pattern of targeting women in carjackings at various locations. Assistant District Attorney Jessica Schulze emphasized that the victims were genuinely innocent individuals going about their daily lives. Rivera's final attempt resulted in Castaneda's shooting, leading to his arrest with a .40 caliber handgun. Rivera's family sought leniency, highlighting a troubled upbringing and alleged manipulation. Prosecutors, however, argued that these were Rivera's choices. Before sentencing, Rivera apologized directly to Castaneda, expressing remorse and acknowledging his transformation. Despite the complex circumstances, the court upheld a substantial sentence in response to the severity of Rivera's actions. Number 6. Andrea Cook. A teenager from South Daytona, Florida, gained attention in June 2017 when her anguished reaction to a 20-year prison sentence for attempted carjacking went viral. Andrea Cook was officially sentenced to 11 years in prison, accompanied by 20 years of probation, both running concurrently. The charges stemmed from a carjacking incident where a person was shot. Subsequently, Cook and her boyfriend committed another carjacking, though no one was injured. During her sentencing, Cook expressed remorse, apologizing to the victims and their families, and stating that she wanted to move past this part of her life. The judge, Matthew Foxman, acknowledged her apparent contrition, but also expressed concern that she might not fully grasp the severity of her actions. He commended her potential for positive change, but emphasized the gravity of repeating such dangerous behavior. This case drew attention when Cook initially received a 20-year sentence, leading to a viral video of her and her mother reacting in shock. Later, she withdrew the plea based on her previous attorney's advice and re-entered a no-contest plea. Our subscribers' pick for today unmasks the reality of life for dangerous teens serving severe sentences. These young minds with criminal tendencies shock the world with their acts of violence. From the horrific case of Jared Kano to the unsettling scandal of Fernando Salgado, these crimes send shockwaves through the communities. Imagine the look of shock and absolute horror on the faces of these young criminals as the gavel slams and the sentence is pronounced. For these teens, life will never be the same, and even though some will make it out of prison alive, the experience will shape their lives forever. Which of these stories shocked you the most? Let us know in the comments down below. Number 5. Feta Torres. William Tunchez was killed at the age of 21 as a result of a horrific crime that Feta Torres, Nicholas Evans, and Khalil Miller planned. The trio lured Tunchez to a Suwannee walking path under the false promise of engaging in a sexual encounter with Torres for $300. Upon Tunchez's arrival, Evans brandished a gun while Miller attacked him with a stick. A struggle ensued, leading to Tunchez being shot in the neck. The perpetrators, identifying themselves as gangsta disciples, fled the scene after robbing Tunchez of his belongings. Evans and Miller admitted their involvement in Tunchez's death, while Torres remained silent during police questioning. The teens faced charges of felony murder, aggravated assault, and armed robbery. Notably, they were also implicated in 3 additional armed robbery incidents in Suwannee. Held without bond, a preliminary hearing confirmed probable cause for the charges to proceed. The case unfolded with the revelation that Miller returned to the crime scene the following day. This chilling incident shed light on the disturbing details of the crime and the alleged involvement of the teenagers in a purported gang, emphasizing the tragic consequences of their actions on a young life. Number 4. Jesse Owens. Driven by a teenage desire for $9,000, a robbery took a deadly turn. Jesse Owens, caught in the aftermath, confessed to second-degree murder and faced a mandatory life sentence under the law. The incident unfolded at the home of David Paul Bauman, where Owens and another accomplice attempted the theft. Bauman's unexpected return resulted in a struggle which ended tragically with Owens hitting him repeatedly in the head with a hammer. Bauman was found dead the next day. Owens raised 5 issues on appeal, including claims of ineffective assistance of counsel, the voluntariness of her statements to authorities, the voluntary nature of her guilty plea, whether the mandatory life sentence was disproportionate, and a habeas court's denial of comparative analysis through review of presentence reports. The court affirmed the lower court's decision, stating that Owens did not meet her burden of proving ineffective assistance of counsel or that her guilty plea was involuntary. The court also rejected the argument that a mandatory life sentence was unconstitutional. Number 3. Willard Miller and Jeremy Goodale. Next is a chilling story of how a high school teacher's disappearance led 2 16-year-olds, Willard Miller and Jeremy Goodale, down a dark path of guilt and first-degree murder. The tragic murder case of Nohema Graber involved both Willard Miller and Jeremy Goodale. Age, they admitted guilt by pleading to first-degree murder. Graber, who was a Fairfield Spanish teacher, disappeared on November 2, 2021, and her body was later found hidden under a tarp and wheelbarrow. Goodale, influenced by Miller's fear of failing Graber's class, participated in the crime. Miller received a life sentence with a minimum of 35 years before parole, while Goodale was sentenced to at least 25 years, following the prosecution's recommendation. The motive, rooted in academic concerns, added a chilling layer to the crime. During sentencing, Goodale tearfully apologized, expressing remorse and accepting responsibility. Despite the severity of the crime, the judge noted Goodale's comparatively greater remorse and potential for rehabilitation, emphasizing the need for significant rehabilitation. Family members voiced anger and forgiveness, with some believing Goodale could have prevented the tragedy. The court recognized the impact on Graber's family and the community, striving for a balance between punishment and rehabilitation in Goodale's case, indicating a belief in his potential for transformation. Number 2. Alexis Rogers. Previously charged with murder in connection to a road rage shooting, Alexis Rogers found herself back in the spotlight as a judge decided to remand her following concerns about public safety. The appearance of 19-year-old Alexis Rogers, who was accused of 2 separate murders, had significant influence on the Albuquerque court proceedings. Released earlier with specific conditions, Rogers allegedly violated them, leading to a critical hearing on Wednesday. Investigations revealed that Rogers hosted a gathering with an alarming 70 to 100 people at her residence, where a 21-year-old was fatally shot during the chaos. Despite admitting to drug use and alcohol consumption, Rogers' defense argued that she had initially invited only a few individuals, but the situation spiraled out of control. Her attempts to manage the gathering allegedly resulted in a violent confrontation. In a courtroom drama, Rogers claimed that the young man who lost his life that night had bravely attempted to protect her during the challenging events. However, the judge, Cindy Leos, decided to remand Rogers to jail, setting a subsequent hearing to determine whether she should remain imprisoned until trial or if adjustments to her release conditions are necessary. Initially facing first-degree murder charges, Rogers opted for a guilty plea to lesser charges, potentially reducing her sentence to 3 years. However, during the sentencing hearing, Azarte's father urged Judge Cindy Leos to impose the full sentence, arguing that Rogers should be held accountable for her role in his son's death. Judge Leos agreed with this request. The shooter, Damian Luna, also part of the plea deal, faces a potential prison term of up to 15 years for his involvement in the deadly incident. The final judgment reflects the legal consequences faced by both individuals for their roles in the tragic road rage shooting that claimed the life of Efrain Azarte. Number 1. Denali Braun. The shocking murder of Cynthia Hoffman, affectionately known as Cece, reverberated through the media when her high school friend, Denali Braun, confessed in 2019 to the crime. At just 22 years old, Braun, a woman from Alaska, acknowledged her role in the tragic demise of CC, who faced learning disabilities. Braun, manipulated by an online catfish scheme orchestrated by 21-year-old Darren Schillmiller, posed as a Kansas millionaire named Tyler. Schillmiller promised Braun a $9 million payday to carry out the heinous act. Braun lured Hoffman on a false hiking trip, bound her with duct tape, shot her in the back of the head, and discarded her body into the Eklutna River. Braun, who confessed in a Snapchat video, implicated 4 others in planning and executing the murder. The victim's family, seeking closure, welcomed Braun's guilty plea. The sentencing carried a potential prison term between 30 and 99 years. The plea deal did not specify a particular sentence. Hoffman's family expressed relief, emphasizing the importance of holding all involved parties accountable for their actions in this tragic case. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.